Thank you for this passionate introduction. This is what the average Joe thinks AI is. That's what student thinks AI is. That's what investors think AI is. That's what NVIDIA. That's what coders think AI is. That's prompt engineers. That's what my racist dad think AI is. That's what AI researchers think AI is. And that's what AI actually is. My name is Yonatan Alexander. I'm the head of AI of Lasso Security. I'm very happy to be back here this third year in a row. I've been 10 years in the field. I've been founder engineer in 4 startups, and I'm a talented salsa dancer, average guitar player, and a father of 2 hell demons. And today we are going to talk about what is AI and what makes an AI-first organization and AI-first professionals. And it's based on interaction with our clients and research we're doing in our field of work. In Lasso Security, we empower companies to use AI by protecting them from all kinds of security threats so they can just go around and do whatever. The premise of the talk is that anyone can be an AI leader. It's not about your job title or your authority. It's about building trust in AI and making other people follow. So, if we look at how universities and professors look at AI, we start with the field of tasks that typically require intelligence to solve. And then you have a subfield of machine learning, a subfield of Gen AI, a subfield of artificial general intelligence is when you use AI for multiple tasks, and then artificial superintelligence, it's when it passed human intellect in everything and you get HAL 2000. We have started about in the 50s with Turing and his thinking machine. We had a bunch of breakthroughs. The relevant one for the world of LLMs is 2017, with attention is all you need. And we got into ChatGPT and so on. DeepMind, they're focusing they say, and quite agreeable, that we already have artificial general intelligence. And the question is, how do you look at it? How do you evaluate it at different levels? And they look at it as how competent it is on many tasks versus humans. And they think we are about halfway there, where it's the 50th percentile of the population. We can see AI everywhere already. It has it has trillion in investments. It's been taking down a lot of work from call centers and providers. It's been writing 30% of code based on Google and Microsoft research. And it's projected to be about 4 hours that it saves a week for professionals. You don't need to take any pictures. There's going to be a QR at the end with a link to my LinkedIn where I will post all the slides. Because there are a lot of notes and it's a lot of work. It's projected to pass the IQ of humans next year, if you believe a plot with 4 data points. We expect 200 million jobs to disappear. Out of them, half are entry-level white-collar jobs. We expect new 170 million jobs, where 77% will require advanced degrees. And all of these guys telling us how they fire everyone and they're going to replace them with AI. And that's fine. It's fine. So. Okay, I bet all of you can hear his voice in your head. So this is my hot take. AI is not intelligent. So what do I mean? Think about the Turing test. Raise your hand if you know of the Turing test. Well, that actually is everyone. So GPT-4 already have passed the Turing test. And by passing it, we kind of learned that the Turing test is a high bar for perceived intelligence, but a low bar of actual intelligence. It tells us more about what humans perceive as intelligent. So we're going to use a different definition, which is kind of a mix of what you will get if you do use just a bunch of dictionaries about intelligence. It's the capacity to acquire and apply knowledge and skills. This graph knows nothing about shampoo. We have chosen the axis, we have chosen the data points to put in, we have decided how to collect those data points, and we have decided to use a line for it. The line doesn't know anything, it depends completely on us. It's still useful, it can do things we can't. It's much more accurate than us, unless you have like those old school things to make geometric, beautiful lines. You have those in the Netherlands? Yes, perfect. So as data is merely a projection of real life onto a data set, an LLM is merely reality reflected through the lens of its training data. A better mental model that I like is God in a box. You have a box with a universe where everything is simulated, and within that box, the LLM can give you everything you need. But it depends what you put in the box and how big the box is. This slide, I move it between talks, and it's only getting longer and longer. LLMs are inherently and fundamentally lacking the ability to plan, reason, and understand the world. We do research after research, and we see that it just doesn't work the way you would expect intelligence to work. We have these issues with fine-tuning and learning in general. Fine-tuning is a zero-sum game. If you learn one thing, you forget other things. And we have yet, there is a lot of research about it, but we have yet to figure out how to continuously learning. Even in context learning is more like a sophisticated pattern matching and less about learning new things because the weights are frozen and you forget everything at the end. And we have shown that the patterns that we can learn with in-context learning has to be something that the LLM has seen in his training. So this has already been putting on screen, we can have seen the effect of it. We have billion investors in failures. In most organizations, 80 to 95% fail when they try to integrate AI. 74% show no value, and 42 projects are just being abandoned. And it costs millions, billions. So we've seen this hype before, where there is value, but it's hard to integrate it, and it's hard to predict where it's going to fail. So it's all just... Okay. AI is not the problem. Throwing the kitchen sink at it is. So this is what this talk is about. We're going to talk about a framework to integrate AI into your organizations and how to use it. And I like to look at it leaders, lab, and Bob's. So we start with leaders. Your job as execs, as managers, is to create a culture where AI use is normalized. You want to be a catalyst. You don't want to be a bottleneck. Think about it as the people who is responsible to empower people to use in AI, but in a safe and accountable manner. There was one time that one of my employees came to me and he made an amazing research. And obviously he used a lot of AI into it. And my first instinct was like, you just used AI, you didn't work that hard. That is terrible. After we looked into it later, we found out it was incredible, and we have used it as a template for many of our other researchers later. We don't know yet what makes people good at AI. And your business and context is important. You want to find your internal champions. You want to find the AI naturals, and you want to bring them up and lean on them. The AI revolution is bottom-up, unlike, for example, the cloud revolution. If you don't let people use AI, they would leave. They will go to a place where they can use it. There are great benefits of it. We already have seen that in multiple tasks, it just takes personal people to the next level. It takes team to the next level. It helps to lead to faster breakthroughs. It helps to level different, like a very technical team will get balanced to a more marketable solutions, and a very market-oriented team can come with more technical solutions. It's something we absolutely, you don't want to have those people leaving you and stay only with with workers who don't do any of those things. So you want to reward ingenuity first. Ensures the fruits of success lay first in the hands of its architects. If I use AI and I save 50% of my time, don't give me double the work. You have to find ways to compensate people who do AI correctly. You want to give them some time for professional development, for personal development, even compensations, holidays, whatever makes sense in your culture. But you want to make sure that they are incentivized to do so. There are many incentives for them not to tell you that they're using AI. They like that you think they're a genius and super productive. They are afraid you're going to fire them and their colleagues. So you want to combat that. And you definitely shouldn't fire people because of AI at this point. 55% of companies who fired people because of AI have regretted it. And I hope you don't make a lot of decisions at your work where it's 55% failure. Just imagine a team like Pixar, when computer animations came, they would just fire half their staff and make a bit more money per movie they made. Instead, they hired Disney veterans and built the biggest animation studio in the world. Think replacement. Don't think replacement, think augmentation. Someone is going to edit this talk and I'm going to look very silly. A strategic mindset. The intuition of people is to use AI for the 80% of the work that provides 20% of the value. But the real opportunity is in the strategic 20. It's how you make strategic decision. It's how you learn. It's how you use it for mentorship, for you simulate conversation. You thread multiple ideas together. You use it to challenge your assumption and challenge the work you do, to get feedback. The strategic decisions get amplified by using AI. Hiring. Hiring is becoming a real challenge. We have already been seeing that skills like critical thinking and problem solving, their value is going to go up, and knowledge and titles, their value is going to go down. Now there is this interesting data point where lowest performance can get 43% more productive. They are getting the highest productivity gains. But the reason they get it is because many of their jobs, and their tasks, you can just take the task and just copy paste it and it's good. And if that is your work, we just can't use it agentic yet, then you get those productivity boosts, which is great for you. But what you are really looking for is the 10x people. Think from knowledge to judgment. So, tip number 1, the top 2%. If you go and hire someone and they are the 2%, you first hire them, you ask questions later. Those are the people who would outperform AI still, even today, and they are also the people who can use it the best. They are very rare, and those are the people that, if you can get those people, you got to get multiply active results from them. It's the guy who can realize the model is both have a bias through towards some kind of a problem, and then we'll just generate exactly the relevant examples to bias back to what you would expect. Ownership in high-stakes environments. No one is going to close a deal or buy a house from a bot. They're not going to go to a surgery because an algorithm told them so. You want people who take accountability, who take ownership, and that can instill trust. Deep and broad knowledge. Those are the people who are good enough and specific enough in some fields, but can connect the dots between different domains. It's the person who can see that the churn problem you have is not the sales issue, but it's the security team that has pointed out 3 months ago that the guardrail is failing on the edge case. Calibrated skepticism. You want people who don't look at AI, think it's all garbage, and don't take everything that it says as gospel. It's the person who can see AI is correct about 95% of your clients, but also have the inner instinct to go, but those last 5% are exactly our whales or our customers with the churn signals. And rapid learning and comfort with ambiguity. The half-life of AI tools is shrinking and fast. AI is also failing in novel and unique ways, and you want people who are comfortable with those aspects. They feel comfortable with the ambiguity, and they feel comfortable looking into new things. Evidence. That's a bonus, good taste. Probably gonna stay relevant. So judgment, adaptability, and multiply active impact. That's how you get your 10x employees. Now for the lab. The lab is the people who build services, internal ops, research, and so on. First thing first, guardrails. That's what we do at Lasso. I'm not gonna hang on it, but of course, it can cost you a lot of money, so the moment you integrate it, use guardrails. Second, tools, agent, everything and anything you can do. You want to thread as many threads of work, data points, databases, documentations, discussions, designs, everything that facilitates knowledge sharing, especially documentation, because it helps the AI and the agents and the LLMs to understand what they are talking about when they pull in everything around. And you want to start with the things that are most painful for you at your job. Bootstrap, don't brute force. So the instinct is to throw everything into ChatGPT. But imagine something like a Q&A, where you have a bot. Don't send everything to ChatGPT. You would rather analyze the conversation, find what are the most common questions, generate the answers for them, and then use something like a similarity search as the first line of defense. Then you would rather use a small LLM, which you can distill and make it even simpler to answer the basic questions, and then you escalate to ChatGPT, and then you escalate to a human. But if you just throw everything, you're going to get a very average result, and you're just going to be enormously costly and slow. Design for adaptability. Your solution should not change if the model change. If it's get better, your design should not adapt. It doesn't need to be directed around a certain quirk of Llama 3.1 or a certain element that currently ChatGPT doesn't do. It should be agnostic to it. And your IT department is always going to ask to less latency and less cost. But sometimes a better decision or a better drug can be worth 15 cents. So you have to make also consider the time of the employees and yourself. This slide requires its own talk, but I'm just going to mention it. So today, almost everyone here who's technical has a development environment, and then they have runtime. And when you do your development, you have your Q&A and testing and security and integration, all of these things. And then you put it in runtime and you have alerting and monitoring and analysis and so on. But as you start integrate AI into it, you start getting it goes in directions that are unexpected. An agent can go to a website you've never considered, or go to and call for a function you didn't know about, or call to a database query that you didn't consider, or change a setting you didn't know about. And it's all going to start munging and merging and wrangling together. And you need to put your testing and alerting everything omnipresent in your design of your solution. So easy tips when you start. Minimize agency and maximize automations. Don't let your AI be creative. You want to limit what it can do and automate as much as you can along the way. And you want to do capability boundaries, where it can do specific things at specific point. Don't just throw everything into Claude and be happy that it goes. You want to make sure that if it's in a certain workflow and it's in a certain phase, it can do specific things. And then you want to debug them and test them and alert them and everything. And you can use Lasso for that. There's a small link there. So evaluate, validate, and guard. I have a story which you're not going to hear. Let's talk about Bobs. But I'm going to move to higher gear in my talking. JP only know how I sound when I speak fast, so I think he was very impressed so far. AI mastery. What is AI mastery? So here we're talking about different skills like context and compression trade-off. What are you telling and what you're leaving out to make the AI give you not the average answer, but the answer you need. And one of the disciplines that is evolving is prompt engineering and the different tools you can do. And there is a very cool prompt engineering template here you can steal, which shows you how you can ask the AI first to ask you questions so we can help you, and then you can create different personas, they build a story, they debate, and they eventually synthesize a recommendation for you in a narrative so you can communicate it. You need to learn if you're a centaur or a cyborg. I do this and I do that, or we're working together. We have seen that cyborgs get 25 to 40% productivity gains, but if you go full on Borg, then you get 20% more errors if you just take it for granted. So it depends on the task complexity and the experience level. Hear me out. Try to AI yourself out of a job. You identify your AI-resistant skills, you speedrun through fundamental knowledge, and you build intuition through failure. What AI can or cannot do is not a normal line. Sometimes it can do things you don't expect, and sometimes it's failing things and you don't expect. And if you're continuously trying to do it, you can tell what is what. If AI solves it, you're 10 times faster. If AI can't, you're 10 times more valuable, and you can explain why you shouldn't be fired, or send them the link to this talk. For programmers, use an AI journalist while the agents work. Let it write a file for you, which you can also follow up on. It's a great way to asynchronously look at what's going on. Use AI rules, like you don't want to use the same code and write it again and again, same with functions. Use an IDE. Don't let the agent just run and change code and hope for the best. And it's excellent at Git, PRs, reviews, and things that the employees at OpenAI needs to do. Keep the human in the loop. And just, here is a few tools for you for your BS detector. Ask it for sources and quotes, which will force it to be way more aligned to what it says. Ask it after it's done, ask it to audit and reflect and give counter examples of what it did. You will find out that it helps a lot. You share it between multiple AIs, which they just make different mistakes and hallucinate different things, so it makes things pop out when they are incorrect. And vibe coding, well, use Git obsessively, use data versioning, and think like a project manager. Give it like markdowns, images, and examples. And may God have mercy on your soul. How to stay up to date? Easy. Well, it's not easy, it's actually impossible, but I'm a big fan of Alpha Signal, and most of you are technical people, you would like that one. Less technical is Last Week in AI. And finally, as professionals, trust no AI. Going back to our leaders, find your AI champions in your organization and make them the center of your lab. So, what did we talk about today? We talked about what AI is. We talked about how leaders, I want to know that we are together, how leaders, labs, and Bobs should work with AI, and we watch 1,000 memes. The conclusion, thank you very much.